before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
So what do you call a tree from a different planet?
Foreign tree?
No.
An
extraterrestrial.
That's deep.
Yeah, that is deep. So this week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests, insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com.
Just because it's July doesn't mean your flower planting is over for the year. There's a number of flowers in which you can grow from seed in early July and get blooms before the frost occurs. Now, your mileage may vary. It's based on, keep in mind, if you're like in zone 2, this is not going to be as applicable to you as if you're in zone 6, 7, or 8.
But if you did find these starts for some reason, if you are like in zone 2, you could plant them. But these are ones that you can plant in most zones.
Yep. Go to Jung Seeds, JUNG seed.com, and use coupon code 15TG25 and save 15% off your order, and get them shipped to your house and get them in the ground.
Right. So here's some annuals, zinnias. So if you've ever seen zinnias, they're very bright colored. They add a nice really pop of color to your garden. They are pretty heat tolerant, and they will continue to bloom until the first frost.
Takes 90 days, about 90 days for them to bloom, and you want that 90-day window before frost. Now, how do you find your first average frost date of the year?
Just go to your favorite search engine and put in first average frost date, and it'll tell you that. Ours was like
add your zip code. You got to put
your zip code. Ours is like October 15th, I think.
It will have changed now because we are now classified in zone 6A instead of 5.
Right. All right, so sunflowers are nice because they will grow well into the fall. Here, where our home radio
flagship station
is, there's many sunflower farms where you can go take pictures, or you can pick your own sunflowers. Everywhere. Probably everywhere, but we have a couple here, and that's usually like a October thing, like late September, early October. Right. So if you think about that, I don't know if these farms start their seeds. I'm assuming not. I have no idea. I grow sunflowers. I had some that just started on their own because
you grow them in a container on our deck. Yeah.
And I had some that just started on their own from last year. They just reseeded themselves, and then I planted some, and they grow like weeds.
Now, 70 to 120 days based on the variety, and you can get sunflowers that are dwarf sunflowers, which will grow about 2 foot tall, or you can get the mammoth sunflowers that can grow 15 feet or higher.
Yes. So marigolds, they're these little cheerful orange, sometimes red, yellow. They're little, probably get like 8 inches tall, 10 inches tall, and they will grow. They're heat tolerant. They will grow into the fall, and they're nice little flowers. They do repel some pests. It's not super effective, but people do swear by them sometimes. So your mileage may vary. There's no real scientific evidence. Some people say they'll repel rabbits. We've seen rabbits just eat the marigolds. Mm-hmm. So
50 to 60 days is what it takes from seed to getting them to blossom or bloom.
Yes.
Yeah, usually 5 to 8 days. Will germinate in 5 to 8 days. So, with any of these, you don't have to start them indoors like you would your tomatoes or your peppers or your eggplants in the spring. As long as you have the proper soil moisture, and it's going to be warm enough for them to germinate just in the ground. Put seeds in, water them, keep them hydrated, and they will germinate just fine. Next one is cosmos.
Yeah, so cosmos are they're like kind of considered a wildflower. They have like that wildflower type look. They're quick blooming,
thin petals, small head,
easy to grow. I think I'm growing some, if I remember right. I forget what I'm all growing on our porch garden now, but
based on the variety, 60 to 90 days. So to keep that in mind, takes 7 to 21 days to germinate now, friends. So you got to be a little patient. If they haven't come up, you got to be patient.
Now, this is also good to keep in mind that if you plant these now, you're going to likely have to keep them watered unless your area gets a lot of rain. But that's something to keep in mind. A lot of people forget about watering. Water all your plants, but a lot of people forget about watering come July, mid-July, August. Make sure you're keeping your garden watered.
Nasturtiums. Another 60 to 90 day from seed to blooming. 4 to 6 take 7 to 10 days to germinate.
They don't mind bad soil, so you can.
If you got a crummy area in your garden,
I should get some nasturtiums because some of our planters have not the best soil, but that's okay. Lantana. I'm not super familiar with lantana, but they do have different colors. They're drought tolerant, so nasturtiums and lantana might be your best friends. Possibly. Then we have some perennials.
The lantanas take 6 to 8 weeks. You can germinate them 6 to 8 weeks before your frost, but it's not really a big deal. You want to soak the seeds 12 to 24 hours to help get those accelerated to germinate better.
Right. So there's some perennials you'll have to kind of do your own research as if they're going to bloom this year or next year. We're going to talk about ground cover in the next segment. It's the same kind of situation. So black-eyed Susans, they have like a bright yellow flower with a black middle. They look like a yellow daisy with a black center. And they typically start blooming in June and July. So if you're like, I want to plant some perennials, maybe there's still some perennials at the garden center, you can go take a look. And
another 60 to 90 day time frame there. And now these will get 2-3 foot tall in the right conditions. And you get a whole little covey of those black-eyed Susans growing, and they are very pretty.
They're very pretty, yeah.
And they will really bring the bees in as well.
Right, they will. I want to talk about asters. Asters are, I have to look, I think they're native plant to us because they're grown in a lot of these like natural rainwater gardens. But asters they're like a more herbaceous plant. So they're going to have like this, they attract bees. They have a lot of greenery and they're very, I think people put them in like tea and stuff. So you could get double duty out of that. Definitely do your own research on that. But they are a good perennial to grow, especially they are more typically tolerant of different water needs, soil needs, whatever. So they're pretty easy to grow. And like I said, I've seen them in a lot of rain gardens, runoff gardens, etc., all around.
Asters started from seed will typically take about 3 to 4 months to reach a mature bloom. So that would be 90 to 120 days.
So that may be something that you'd want to plant.
And they also take up to 21 days to germinate, too.
Yeah.
So there's
that would be something for next year.
Some of these flowers may not be for the impatient person or impatient gardener.
No.
But I mean, that's the range. If the conditions are right, if you've pre-soaked the seeds, you can accelerate that germination quite substantially. From 21 days, probably even quicker if you soak them in like a compost tea. You can probably get them up in 5 days in some instances.
I'm the impatient gardener. I bought some starts because I didn't want to wait for all my seeds to start. So, I mean, I planted both.
Well, and a lot of the things in which you were going to plant had naturally reseeded itself last year in the containers on the porch and have started to come up. Before you started planting, your sunflowers were already, some of them were almost 10 inches tall.
Yeah, and I'm very happy about that.
And you just moved them around.
I moved some around, yep. And then I also have some, I think they're petunias, I forget. But yeah, that reseeded themselves.
We learned a couple of weeks ago that Andy Griffith was very good at potting petunias. You don't mess with Andy's petunia potting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's really not that hard to plant petunias.
I'm not going to explain the episode to you, but if you've seen that episode, 10 points to you in a game that doesn't mean anything and points mean nothing.
So speaking about something that might make your life easier.
Oh, there's some money to be saved.
That always makes everybody's life easier, right? We are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's Inc. We want to know, we know you care about where your food comes from. Canning, preserving, growing your own food is great, but what about the meat? At Walton's, you can get the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack stick that people will actually like? Walton's created meatgistics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They even have a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, that's GROW50, to save 10% off your orders at $50 or more.